What went wrong for Miguel Vargas last year with the Dodgers, and what does his future look like in LA? And what is the plan for aging star prospect Miguel Busch, who still does not have a spot at the big league level? Today, I talk prospects with my friend Casey Porter, and we're talking all about Miggy, we're talking about Busch, we're talking about Diego Cartaya, and more on another edition of the All Dodgers podcast. First, my name is Clint Pasillas. You can find me as Real FRG on the social media platforms, including this YouTube channel. If you happen to be watching it, I really hope you are. If you can't watch it, I have podcast versions of all of my content. It's going to go up on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Probably not going to expand beyond that. I like those three platforms, so we'll leave it there. But if you are watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. It really goes a long way in helping out the channel. Before we get into the conversation with Casey, two notes. I messed up. I goofed. I forgot to hit the tile view, or the gallery view, I think is what they call it on Zoom. So the recording of this goes back and forth with me on the screen and Casey on the screen. Instead of the side-by-side, I'll have that fixed the next time him and I have a conversation. So here and there you are going to see my ugly mug pop up on the screen while he's in the middle of some great Dodgers insight and prospects insight and all that kind of stuff. But without further ado, here is the conversation with Casey. Welcome to the show, Casey Porter. For the folks that don't know Casey, he has a great channel here on the YouTube. If you are watching, make sure you guys do check that out. Throw a subscription that way, his way. Like all the videos, all those things really help us out. Awesome Dodgers talk all year round. And Casey, you're somebody that's been around, you've been involved in baseball some way, shape, or form basically all of your life. So I think it's safe to say you know a thing or two about the game and what we see happening on the field.
Yeah, no doubt. We certainly love baseball and was super excited. Became a fan in 1988 when Kirk Gibson hobbled up to home plate and hit the home run in the World Series. And being from Oklahoma, that was kind of the first time that, of course, the Dodgers and Yankees were always on, and Vin was always – him and Joe Garagiola were always the commentators. So I really loved Vin Scully before I loved the Dodgers, and then listened to him quite a bit. And then whenever Kirk Gibson hit the home run, I was absolutely hooked. And then when in 2015, when the Dodgers announced that they were coming to Oklahoma, both with their AA and AAA, it was like a dream come true. And ever since then, it's been Dodger Blue for everybody here, and super excited about it.
Yeah, man. And you know, like I like telling people, you are one of the go-to destinations when it comes to Dodgers prospects. They're right there in your backyard or in your front yard. Well, I don't know the exact proximity, but you are the guy that you know these people. You do get a chance to interview a lot of players. That's why, again, I do recommend folks follow Dodgers Daily here on the YouTube, and obviously you don't just talk baseball here. You have a career in baseball. You've done broadcasting. You've done you coach teams. You're late to our interview coaching basketball tonight. He's a busy man, so I appreciate the time. Let's jump into it, but I do appreciate you hanging out with me on the day that we're recording this. I'm not going to put a timestamp on it though, so people have no idea when it's going on. The Dodgers, much like you, have been busy this offseason. They brought in Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. You got the blockbuster deal to bring in Glasnow and Manuel Margot. They bring back Joe Kelly. They bring back Jason Hayward. So for the most part, as we sit here a few weeks before spring training, the roster seems pretty dang set. Really good, but it does have some holes, some cracks, some openings, and importantly, some opportunities for the younger guys to step up and capitalize. And that's where I really wanted to pick your brain and tap into your wealth of knowledge about this team, and in particular these prospects. Again, a lot of these guys you know personally or have seen up close and personal at Tulsa, at Oklahoma City. One of the biggest names we see thrown all around the internet, Miguel Busch.
Yeah.
First, tell us a bit, tell fans here a bit about Busch and his profile as a batter and as a defender.
First of all, if you go back to spring training and then the beginning of his season last year, as wonderful as it was, I like the WRC plus number because it puts all the variables. Because people say, well, the PCL, everybody hits home runs. Well, the WRC plus takes all that into account and then puts an average how you are against everybody else in that league. He had 150 WRC plus, which meant he was 50% better than every other hitter in the PCL. And the thing about him that I have been screaming since day one about him is you got to give him consistent at bats. if you just give him a couple here or a couple there. Let me give you a for instance. He didn't hit his first home run this last year in the AAA level till the 12th game. So if you would have just said, hey, you saw 3 or 4 games of Michael Busch, the guy can't hit home run. If you just kind of take small sample sizes, you really don't get the appreciation of exactly what he is. I can tell you that from personal experience. When I first went and saw him at Tulsa, he had just moved to second base from first base. And actually, one of my friends, Tom Holliday, was his Cape Cod coach. Randy Whistler also went to Oklahoma State. They were actually the 2 guys that moved him to second base in the summer in the Cape Cod League. We'll get into that, a little bit more of that here in a minute. But Michael Busch, the first 4 or 5 games I saw him, I was like, okay. Yeah, well, I guess. And then game 6 through 15 is like, I see it now. So kind of if you go back to spring training, I know I kept telling Dodgers fans, they were saying, well, he's not hitting. He's not. I said, guys, just let him get 7 or 8, 10 games under his belt. Then all of a sudden you saw in spring training, the last 4 or 5 games after he got comfortable, he was hitting the cover off the ball. So the role that he had last year literally was probably, as far as the major league level, was the worst role that he could have possibly been given for the type of player he is, because it was pop in here, pop in there, and never have any kind of consistency. And I can tell you, Clint, I see it all the time. They would never admit it, but when you're on that up-down train between Oklahoma City and Los Angeles, you never know where your feet are going to be. Yep. You never know what your role is going to be. And by the way, Michael Busch was moved to third base. He was originally a first baseman, originally a shortstop in high school, then moved to second base, played some left field. You're trying to do all that and also break into major league level with zero consistency.
Yeah.
Well, no wonder he didn't produce as well as I mean, I don't mean to make excuses for the young man, but I saw it with Mitchell White. It broke Mitchell White. I'm sorry, it just did. And I saw it with Ryan Pepio that first time he went up with Los Angeles. We saw the biggest difference last year when he got consistency. We saw a huge difference with Michael Grove when he finally got moved to the bullpen and was given consistency. We're going to see it again this year with Gavin Stone. I promise you are now the adjustments that he made. And so he needs a consistent role. We say it all the time. Tim Rogers says this, Dodgers 2080. He's also a wonderful content creator for the prospects. If you haven't checked out Tim, he is putting out some just dynamite work right now for the prospects.
He's on fire. He's on fire.
Yes, he is. So check out Dodgers 2080 over there with Tim. And he says all the time, we both do, either play him or trade him. He's 26 years old. He's closer to 30 than he is 20. At some point, he's going to start losing value. That's going to be this year if he doesn't have major league experience, because how much value, as good as you are, how much value does a 27-year-old that has no major league experience actually have? Does it make sense?
He has nothing else to prove at AAA. Right. His time is now at the big league level, and is that going to happen in LA? I don't know. Right. I mean, they keep talking about it. I don't know if, once again, I don't think they need another left-handed bat in this lineup, but you already mentioned it. You've seen Busch at AAA playing some 2B, playing some 1B. Like you mentioned, they moved him to third, getting a little bit of spot starts here and there in left field. Saw him hose a dude at home plate. Could he become at least an average defender, a major league average defender at third base? And where do you think he ends up long term?
I think he ends up probably at third base long term. And the reason why I say this, Clint, he actually grew up an all-state shortstop in Minnesota.
Okay.
He only moved to first base because he went to the University of North Carolina. Mike Fox there has an elite program. He shows up as a true freshman, and they're watching this dude take batting practice, and they're like, holy smokes, we got to find a spot for this kid, right? So they just threw him over at first base. He got a first baseman's glove, and it stuck, right? But that's not where he grew up playing. He actually grew up playing shortstop. He was an all-state shortstop in Minnesota. He also was the quarterback on his high school football team, and he was very, very, very good. I have video of him playing quarterback, and he played hockey. So the dude is extremely athletic. His athletic ability is massively underrated. Okay, the arm is whatever, but he's also one of the toughest players you'll ever be around. I know that he's had situations to where he was very hurt, that the average human being would be whimpering pretty good and never let on with anybody, and nobody actually found out about him being hurt like he was until the season was over. He's one of the toughest human beings. He has that hockey toughness to him, that football toughness to him. So I could easily see him ending up at third base, up the middle at second base. Hey, I've got video of him. It's one of those deals to where, like Tom Holliday will tell you, the guy who moved him to second base in the Cape Cod, it's not always going to be pretty, but it is going to be tough, and it's just going to get the job done. From what I have seen, he is much more comfortable at third base than he is second base. Just my opinion, but I have a larger sample size at second base than I do first base. That's not to say I don't think he couldn't be a good defensive second baseman at the major league level. Nothing that's going to be flashy or anything like that, just solid, make the routine play, be in your box, that kind of guy. Right.
Sometimes that's all you need. Yeah, I would say I've not seen him anywhere near as much as you have. The question I would have is definitely that arm, especially from across the diamond. But we see that now with Max Muncy. He doesn't necessarily always have the strongest arm. He's kind of got to get into his throws, which is, it doesn't profile the best at third base. But right now we're kind of in a, the sport as a whole is on a downturn when it comes to, just incredible talent at third base. Too many people staying at shortstop when you expected them to move to third. You mentioned like the Mitch White and we've seen it with other guys, maybe less so a Ross Stripling type because he at least stayed in the big leagues, but the up and down guys, you can tell when this organization isn't really gung-ho, isn't all in on the complete package of a player, even if, Busch should be wearing one of those, the classic grit shirts they like to wear at Dodger Stadium. In your opinion of watching this Dodgers team for, 35 years, 30 plus, whatever, 35 plus years, how do you think this organization truly views Michael Busch?
I think they view him as a guy that they can't figure out where to play him defensively. I think they like his offensive tool, but every time. Okay, so here's the problem, Clint. I mean, I like Michael Busch too. Nobody likes Michael. Nobody's been singing his praises more than I have. But I love JD Martinez. I mean, you can't bitch about getting JD Martinez, right? There's your DH. And you're certainly not going to bitch about getting Shohei Ohtani.
Absolutely
right?
not.
You're not going to bitch about getting Freddie Freeman at first base, correct? And you're not. Most people aren't going to complain about the power that Max Muncy is going to bring at third base. So it's not that they're not high on the guy. It's just that this organization, and then they thought, hey, Miguel Vargas has always been a hitting machine, right? So I mean, move him to second base, make him your everyday second baseman from here on out. So it's not that they haven't been high on him. It's just that they've had JD Martinez, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy. Pretty darn good baseball players.
Yeah, they keep getting top level talent, and it happens to be everywhere Busch would most likely line up.
Yes.
Any other team, I mean, you potentially got a major league all-star if he was an Angel, or he would just explode, spontaneously combust or something, because whatever they do down in Anaheim just does not work for baseball players. To shift gears a little bit, you mentioned another guy. We got to mention Miguel Vargas. You're talking about a guy that really got his shot in 2023, and just about every single way that it did not go right. Maybe you could say, defensively, he came along a lot further than most would have presumed or assumed at second base. But in your opinion, why did Miguel Vargas struggle so much last year, and why has his big league opportunity? Why has he struggled so much at the major league level?
Well, I think the hand had a lot to do with it, and I mean that's here's the deal. Okay, so you hurt your hand, so your swing changes a little bit, and then the next thing you know, you're off to a bad start. Next thing you know, you're playing with Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and a team that's wanting to win the World Series, and that monkey jumps on you, right? I think he felt a lot of that. Now you're pressing. Now you're trying to get over an injury. He went around the ball a lot. I mean, I broke it down quite a few times in my daily shows of how I felt, just watching him at the minor league level. He was just so good at keeping his hands inside the ball. What he really does really well, Clint, is that he takes that outside pitch and hits it to left center. Then he takes that inside pitch and hits it to right center. So there's no way really to beat him, because if you jam him in with two strikes, he just pulls his hands inside and hits the ball to right field, gets a base hit off of you. If you throw him away with two strikes, then he nails one into left center. So he's always been a great two-strike hitter because of that. But last year, you could see the lingering effects of his hand. He wasn't able to get to that inside pitch and inside out that thing to right field like he wanted to. He was able to get extended on some pitches out over the plate and hit him to left center with some of his doubles. But I really think the hand had a lot to do with it. And then by the time that his hand felt okay, I think it's full press mode at that point. It's like, oh man, this hasn't gone very well. I got to get things going. And then the next thing you know, it just came time where you needed to reset. Actually got a chance to talk to him on the field at AAA Oklahoma City at the Bricktown Ballpark about 3 days after he got brought back down. The spirits were great. He totally understood it. He was as happy-go-lucky, jolly, just kind of, hey, I'm Miguel Vargas. I'm always in a good mood type of dude, right? I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed getting to talk to him. And so he came back down. It wasn't quite the same. The average was good. You know, in 2022, I mean, literally every 10 at bats, you were getting 3 hits. He was a machine that way.
Yeah. I mean, we saw the numbers in 22. He was insane, and that's where you thought that's where you can back up the team's decision to kind of go all in on Vargas that offseason. He was hanging out at Dodger Stadium. He was working out at second base, and then everything goes awry with that hit by pitch in batting practice, or however exactly, like a scrimmage game they had going, and the tailspin from there. And then you say, he gets back down to AAA after I think it was in July. That had to just be a relief to kind of get out of that spotlight and, start getting out of the bad habits he had sort of built with the swing. You did see him getting long, little loopy, like you mentioned, maybe a little more pull happy than you saw in the videos of him at AAA at Tulsa. That guy that, hey, this is somebody who you have to find a spot to play him defensively, but you can put him in the lineup and he's going to go out there and hit 300. Dodger fans didn't see that in 2023 and didn't really see it at the big league level in very small sample size in 22, but still just turned 24 in November, seems to be building some versatility around the diamond. What does the future look like for Miguel Vargas?
He's best at third base. He's most comfortable at third base. He is a good third base defensively player. So the thing about him is, 2-3 years ago, he wasn't near as good of an athlete as he is right now. He was a first baseman and then a little bit of third base. But then his body grew. He got a little taller. He got a little leaner. Now all of a sudden he's a really, really good athlete. So the Dodgers tried to capitalize on that athletic ability and move him to second base. I'm not necessarily huge on the fact. I can tell you, I've talked to these guys. I don't want to give out names that I've talked to that I've tried to break into a new position at the major league level. It is an insanely hard thing to do, especially when you're a rookie. So you're asking a guy to come out and be a rookie and try to learn a new position, basically, at the major league level. I mean, he did play some second. I didn't see him play a whole lot of second base at Tulsa, maybe 8 or 9 games. But so basically you're learning a brand new position at the major league level. Then you're dealing with an injury. So I think he's a better third baseman. I think he's very comfortable over there. And I think in the game of baseball, a lot of times that also affects your offense, because if you're not comfortable defensively, I think that can also have some carryover and bleed over to the offensive side.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I would not be surprised myself to see him, slot in left field here and there in spring training. There's a clear need for this team in left field. There's a clear opportunity for a right-handed bat, which going back really does not bode well for Michael Busch, but they need a little bit more right-handed swingers in the lineup that is at least projected at the moment. As the time we're recording this, we don't know if there's going to be more deals, more trades. Something could very well still happen to reshape the offense or the defensive positioning of this roster. We are hanging out with Casey Porter, Dodgers Daily. I got a couple more, then I'm going to let you go, but guys, make sure you guys are subscribing to Dodgers Daily. Subscribe to Here All Dodgers or Clint at Real FRG on the YouTube to see our second part of our interview we're going to do next week about pitching. This is all about position players today because this man knows a lot, and it's always fun to let him riff and learn. You're going to learn a thing or two. So we'll save pitching for the next one. If we're talking about the top shelf, the top prospects these guys have, the Dodgers have, you can't not talk about the glut of catching prospect and catching power that this team has in the upper depths of the MLB pipeline. Diego Cartaya entered 2023 as one of the up-and-coming darlings of the pipeline. Took a felt like a big step backwards in 23 at Double A. What went wrong, and how concerned are you about him in the long term?
Well, first of all, the monkey jumped on his back big time. I will not back down from that. You're talking about a young man from Venezuela who is the most humble human being you will ever meet. I actually sat next to his parents at a couple of games in Tulsa. You could tell just how awesome these people are. They are the sweetest, nicest, most humble human beings. He didn't ask for all this attention, right? Now, hey, it comes with it. You're going to be in the Dodgers organization, be the number one prospect. There's a lot of perks to it. So I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that when you're the number one prospect in the Dodgers organization, which he was this time last year, you're the minor league player of the year in the organization. That's a lot of pressure. So you get off to a bad start. All of a sudden, you're not playing well. Then you start hearing the rumblings. Hey, what's wrong with Diego Cartaya? This and that. The next thing you know, it's July and you're hitting $180. That can happen real fast to you at the Double A level because, hey, Tulsa in 2022, their average pitch was 94.5 miles an hour. They're studs. There's dudes in Double A, and they don't always know where it's going, right? So you can find yourself hitting $180 in June or July real easy, and now you're like, oh, damn, man, what am I going to do now, right? And then the press starts. Okay, so no doubt about it, that happened to him. I know Henny, the Double A manager, just told him, hey, just go out and be Diego. Everything will work out. Quit trying to be the Dodgers' best player in the organization.
Don't be the top prospect. Don't try to be the top prospect in baseball. Just go play your game.
Correct. I can tell you, you can go back to my interview with Henny. That was the message every night for Diego Cartaya. And then also Henny got cancer, so then he didn't have his manager like for 2 or 3 months in the middle of the season. And the monkey jumps on your back now as far as from a physical perspective. Offensively, he had, in my opinion, and I've broken this down a couple of times, he had a little bit too much lift to his hand path. And what that did is it tilted the barrel quite a bit. And when you do that, you have a plane to your barrel that kind of blocks off that inside pitch to where the only thing you can do to it is either overcompensate and roll over, kind of like a tennis player would getting top spin on a ball, or you block it off and pop it up to right field or second base. He got into that quite a bit. And so he was getting beat on the inner half of the plate, in my opinion, and that hurt him for a while. But defensively, the good part about it is, everybody everybody likes the offense. This was his best year in the organization defensively, hands down. I know I was there a couple of handfuls of times. At 4 o'clock in Oklahoma in July, it's 100 degrees every single day. There's no escaping it. And he was outside doing early work, throwing the ball from behind home plate in full gear to Yorbit Vivas at second base over and over and over. Then that night, I'd watch him throw out a runner. So he got way better at throwing the ball down. If you talk to anybody, Dave Anderson, or anybody who's ever worked with him, Ryan Dinnick or Durno Linger or pitching coaches, because the catchers are the only position that has crossover. You work with the position players and the pitchers. So he had to be in every meeting. He had to be in the position player meetings, and he is the leader of all those. He's the hardest worker in the organization. He works as hard as anybody else does. His pitch framing became a lot better last year. He became just a wonderful defensive player. His defense completely improved. So he's just a couple of adjustments away. And to show you, Clint, how talented he is, even with the year he had last year, he's still the Dodgers' number 3 prospect, according to MLB Pipeline.
Yeah. I don't think too many people are selling their Diego Cartaya stock just yet. But still, you would hope to see that big, that next big leap from him after all of the hype. But, it's good to hear what you're saying about that. It does make a lot of sense. The same with Busch, the same with Vargas, all of these guys. It's like there was a lot of pressure put on them. And when you're talking about playing in the Los Angeles Dodgers organization, there is a lot of pressure that is going to be on you. There is a lot of expectation that is thrown onto these players' backs very, very early, sometimes too early. I wonder if not even I wonder. I feel we're seeing way too much hype way too early for somebody like Josue DePaula. Let the kid turn even 19 yet before we start.
Don't hear it from me for that very reason.
Yeah, so before everybody starts going too hype on the Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, give him a moment. Also, give this next kid a moment. Hey, there's somebody in the organization that leapfrogged Cartaya. He's also a catcher. We're talking about Dalton rushing. Behind me, I got a bobblehead from him of him from Rancho. He hasn't made his way up to you just yet. You would assume in 24 he'll be there. Why, in your opinion, should fans be excited about Dalton rushing?
Well, first of all, if you just watch him hit the baseball, his power is enormous. The scoreboard in Midland for the Great Lakes Loons, the high A affiliate of the Dodgers, is in right center, which was really cool for Dalton because time after time after time, he absolutely just nailed that scoreboard with home runs. And when the ball would hit that scoreboard, it would bounce off, and the announcers would be like, "Holy smokes!" Did you? I mean,
Show
it was
power right there.
yeah,
Huh?
man. It was so his power is absolutely just completely phenomenal. But it's not the power necessary. It's the whole package. The walk rate. His walk rate is almost 20%, Clint. So not only does he have power, he has an
On base,
elite
all around.
amount of discipline at the plate. He swings at strikes, which that we know, Clint. That's one of the things that shows you that will continue to relate to major league success. If you swing at the right pitches, you're going to give yourself, you see guys work on their swing all day long, and then they go up and they swing at 3 balls and they're out. It's like, well, you just wasted all that cage time because you don't know what pitch. That's not Dalton rushing. 18.9 base on ball percentage last year. It's been over 16 ever since he's become a professional. And then also his strikeout rate is below 25%. And so when you're talking about a guy that hit,
in this,
yeah, right.
That's
so
ridiculous.
when you're talking about a guy that walks at almost a 20% clip, strikes out less than 25%, its ISO is 224. I like to compare strikeout rate to ISO. If your ISO is similar to your strikeout rate, that means that you're having a very successful trade-off between striking out and having power. And his ISO and K rates are very similar. So even from that perspective, before his walk rate, it's a very good trade-off. Then when you add in the walk rate to it, it makes it an elite trade-off at that point. That's the biggest part of him. And also, he wasn't even the everyday catcher at Louisville until his last year. And not because he wasn't good, but because they had not a first-round draft pick. They had the very first pick of the 2022 draft, Henry Davis, who was the catcher at Louisville. So he got to be mentored by Henry Davis in college. And then he got to catch for 1 year there. I mean, he caught some before that, but he got to be the everyday catcher for his last year there at Louisville. So you don't have the mileage on the legs, the knees, and all that like a lot of college catchers do. And then he got to the Dodgers and was mentored there too. And so, hey, this guy is a rock star. He's super humble. He's a typical Dodger in the sense that he has a world of confidence, but then is also very humble.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, hey, the Dodgers have had success picking catchers out of Louisville. We'll just throw that one out there. I'll give you a couple MLB questions before I let you go for this one. What are you most after this, this crazy offseason we've seen so far? What are you most looking forward to with the big league Dodgers in 2024?
Yeah, I'm looking to see if the offense can be a little bit more dynamic. And what I mean by that is I think the offense, and I said it all from the beginning of last year, as many runs as they were scoring, when you look at the run totals, they're always right there at the top.
Yeah.
But it's always, they're either hitting a million home runs and scoring 12 runs one game, or striking out the next game and scoring 0. So I'm looking for a more dynamic type offense to where the Dodgers can score 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 runs in a period of the season where they're actually not playing good offense because they're a little bit more dynamic. They're base hitting. They're hitting behind runners. They're stealing a few bases, and they're not just relying on home runs. I think, the close games, the Dodgers haven't always been good at them, the one-run games, and then also in the playoffs, and then also the extra inning games. I think that's because they don't situationally hit as well as some other teams in the league. I would like to see the Dodgers be better offensively and more dynamic in the down periods that they're playing offensively next year.
I honestly, I could not agree more with that. That's what was some complaints we had here and there on Blue Heaven last year. It's like, maybe save some for the next day, we'll say, just to kind of throw a full blanket over that one. Is this team done making moves, or do you think they got another big move or two up their sleeve before the start of spring training?
We've hit on a couple of them. Michael Busch, where are you going to play him, right? Okay, and then you have Nick Frasso, River Ryan, Ben Kasparius, Gavin Stone, Michael Grove, Landon Knack. You have all of these guys. Do the math, okay? Yeah. These minor leaguers are told every day, Clint, every single day, you are auditioning every time you take the field for all 30 clubs, not just the Dodgers Major League Club. Do the math. Okay. There's 9 positions on the field, and there's like 780 total studs in this Dodgers organization, right? Okay. So you're playing, most of you guys are playing to get traded, right? So they know this type of deal. So the Dodgers have, just do the math, they have more studs than they have positions available. The last thing I want is Nick Frasso, Landon Knack, Gavin Stone, Kyle Hurt, and all these just River Ryan, just electric young right-handed pitchers to be stuck as back and forth depth. They're too good to do that. They all need a major league role, whether that's with the Dodgers or not, because they're all getting up in age. And if you can't find a consistent role for them, you are not maximizing their value. The way you maximize their value at that point is you trade them for a left fielder, somebody who's going to make your offensive more dynamic, and then they go get to have their major league role. The Dodgers get the left fielder that makes their offense more dynamic, brings them closer to winning a World Series, and it's a win-win for everybody.
There's your pitch, guys. You heard it here. Probably not first. I'm sure you've said it along the way daily at Dodgers Daily. Casey, great stuff. I'm hyped up, and I really I already liked a lot of those dudes we talked about in the minor leagues, but I'm also really rooting for them to get opportunities somewhere, because we don't want to see Landon Knack being 29 at Oklahoma City in a couple of years. Figure it out this year. Send him somewhere. Let him be free. Dodgers, we're looking at you. You know, these people, you're costing people money and futures in this business. But Casey, I appreciate the time. I appreciate part 1, we'll say, of our prospect series. I really want to talk pitching with you. One of the guys I really wanted to tease in a title for this video was Kyle Hurt, but I know everybody loves Kyle Hurt, but we're going to save Hurt, we're going to save Knack, we're going to save Frasso and all those guys for the next time we talk. Before I let you go, give the people one last message. Let them know where to find you.
Yeah, my Dodgers Daily, and we have basically every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, we have a live show, and then we release some prospect videos in between. A lot of interviews with the guys. I think the last interview I did was with Ben Kasparius. I'm getting ready to do an interview with T.Y. Taylor Young, who, by the way, stole 56 bases last year with the Great Lakes Loons. So super excited about that. Again, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and also YouTube. That is at Dodgers Daily. So I want to thank you so much for having me on, Clint. Looking forward to our next round.
Yeah, this is fun. Appreciate you again. Thank you again to Casey for joining the channel. We already said it a few times there, but I encourage you to go follow Dodgers Daily here on YouTube. I do have that in my featured channel section on my my homepage, I guess is what you would call it on YouTube. So do check that out, along with Tim Rogers, who we mentioned, Dodgers 2080, friend of mine. We will be seeing him again here shortly on the channel. But this is the part where I ask you guys, I want to know, drop in the comments below, what are your thoughts about Miguel Vargas? Do you give him a pass because of that injury he suffered in spring training last year? Do you think he's going to be a big-time role player in 2024? And what do you think the team should do with Michael Busch if he's another left-handed batter and they don't necessarily have a spot for him at the moment? My name is Clint. You can find me as Real FRG on all the social media things. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Please give this video a thumbs up. All the comments, all those things really help out the algorithm. And I will see you on the next one.